Hi, Doc Orman here, physician, author, stress coach, and founder of the Stress Mastery Academy. I'd like to welcome you to this webinar on the top 10 hidden causes of holiday stress. The subtitle of this webinar is How to Have Less Stress and More Fun During the Holiday Season. So it's mainly about you having less stress and more fun, because it stands to reason that when you have less stress during the holidays, you're going to have more fun and you're going to be able to enjoy more of what the holidays are all about. Now, before we dive into the meat of this webinar, I want to give you a little idea about what its purpose is and what I hope you will learn from it. By the way, this webinar is recorded, so there's no opportunity to interact or ask questions as you would during a live webinar. The purpose of this webinar is twofold. First, as I've already mentioned, it's to have you have less stress this year during the holiday season. But more importantly, it's also about how you can have less stress all year long, not just during the holidays. And it's really about how you can have less stress every year and every holiday season. So here's what we're going to cover in this webinar. First, I'm going to spend just a few minutes talking about the types of holiday stresses, which I'm sure you're mostly familiar with. Then I'm going to go into the causes of holiday stress with a special focus on what I call hidden causes. The bulk or the real meat of this webinar will then be helping you to become much better at recognizing the top 10 hidden causes of stress during the holidays. And while there's certainly more than 10 of these hidden causes, if you know how to recognize these top 10, I think you'll be way ahead of most other people, and I think you'll have much less stress during the holiday season than you would if you weren't clear about these 10 hidden causes. Also, I want to make sure you relax during this webinar, so I want you to know there's nothing for sale here. There's no big sales pitch at the end of the webinar, nothing for you to take out your credit card and buy. There's just hopefully good, helpful content, and at the end, I have two very cool free gifts for you. The first is a PDF guide that contains all the key points I'm going to cover in this webinar, along with some additional bonus tips and advice. So you don't have to worry about taking any notes during the presentation because everything worth remembering I've documented in that guide for you. The second free gift is a set of 4 additional free ebooks under the title of Stress Relief Secrets Revealed, which were all written by me and which show you exactly how you can learn to eliminate much of your stress all throughout the year. These 4 ebooks are very easy to read, and I think you're going to like them because they contain fresh new insights about stress, which you probably haven't heard before. Now, I'm also going to do something for you that most other webinar presenters rarely do. I'm going to tell you right now how you can get both of these free gifts without having to listen to this webinar all the way through. This way, if you don't have either the time or the desire to watch this webinar to the very end, you can bail out anytime you choose and not miss out on these 2 very powerful free gifts. All you have to do is go to the beststresshelp.com website, listed at the bottom of every slide in this presentation, and you can download both of these free gifts anytime you want. But if you'd like to have me take you through each of the key points, along with some of my added commentary, then continue right along with this webinar, and at the end, you'll be automatically taken to a page where you can get both of these outstanding free gifts. Personally, I think you'll gain much more from listening to this webinar, but I don't want to force you to do this, so if you'd rather just download and read the PDF document, well, there's a very easy way for you to do this. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I want to give you just a little background and explain why I think you should listen to me at all. First, I'm a board-certified physician who had a successful internal medicine practice for 23 years. During these years, I cared for many people with stress-related illnesses, but I also struggled mightily and was not so successful at dealing with my own stress, both personal and professional. I graduated from Duke University in the late 1960s and then attended medical school at the University of Maryland in downtown Baltimore. Then I did a 3-year internal medicine residency at Mercy Hospital, which is also located in downtown Baltimore. And once I completed my medical training, I established a private practice also in Baltimore City, not very far from Johns Hopkins Hospital. Then, after struggling with lots of stress during the first few years of my practice, I finally figured out how to deal with stress successfully. And since the early 1980s, I've been an author, a speaker, a stress coach, and a person who's taught thousands of other people how to eliminate stress and tension from their lives without having to use alcohol, drugs, physical exercise, relaxation methods, or any other type of stress management techniques. In addition, during the past 30 years, I've delivered seminars and workshops about how to deal with stress to thousands of individuals, including doctors, nurses, medical students, other healthcare professionals, business executives, psychologists, the clergy, and even the FBI. I recently founded my own Stress Mastery Academy, and also for the past 20 years I've been the creator and the official sponsor of National Stress Awareness Month, which is held every April all across the United States. Also during the past 30 years, I've given hundreds of radio, TV, and other media interviews about how to cope with stress successfully, including numerous interviews specifically on the topic of how to cope with holiday stress. Here's my most popular book about stress, which was first released in 1991, and which is still probably the best book on dealing with stress you can find anywhere today. Here are just a few of the other books I've written, and I just want you to know that I'm showing all of this to you so you'll know I've had this goal of helping people dramatically reduce their stress for quite a while, and that it's a very strong passion of mine. I really enjoy doing presentations like this where I can share some of my secrets of success with you that I've accumulated during the past 30 years and which have helped a great many people. So what is it exactly that I do that helps people? What distinguishes me in my approach for dealing with stress from most of what other stress experts are saying and teaching today? What do I do differently and teach differently than most other experts are currently teaching? Well, I basically teach people how to think about stress differently and more correctly. Over the years, I've discovered that much of what I was taught about stress and which continues to be taught to people today, including probably what you've been told, is not really true. For example, I discovered that what most of us have been taught to believe stress is not what it is at all. Also, we've not been given the best advice about how to deal with our stress most effectively, and we certainly haven't been taught the right way to understand and identify the causes of our day-to-day stresses accurately. This widespread lack of having the proper understanding about stress is really keeping most of us trapped as prisoners of our stress when actually we have the ability to reduce or eliminate much of it. I would say the same thing is true about how we've been taught to think about holiday stress, and more specifically, about its true causes. So one of the main reasons I created this webinar is to help you expand your understanding of the true causes of holiday stress by highlighting the top 10 causes that most people haven't been well trained to recognize. Now, the holidays are supposed to be all about fun and joy, having good times with family and friends, peace, love, harmony, but we all know that it doesn't always turn out this way. We can easily become overburdened with added tasks and responsibilities during the holidays. In addition, our friends and relatives often come together in ways that are not always very peaceful, joyous, or lovingly harmonious. Finances can become a source of stress during the holidays for many people, especially during times like now where the economy is in a downturn. And then there are the inevitable crowds, congestion in stores, congestion on the roads and travel venues, and all the raw nerves and questionable behaviors of people we might encounter when we're out and about during this busy time of year. Here are some other types of holiday stress you're also probably familiar with. Overeating and overindulging, particularly with regard to alcohol or drugs, but also possibly gambling, spending, sexual behavior, that can reduce our sense of satisfaction and joy during the holidays. We can also find ourselves losing sleep from being overextended during this time of year. And we can frequently find ourselves wrestling with numerous unwanted thoughts or emotions or feelings that keep popping up that interfere with our enjoyment. We can even sometimes be forced to deal with unexpected tragedies or crises during the holidays. And when these occur and they affect either us directly or our families or our friends or people we care about, this also can diminish our joy and our ability to celebrate during this normally happy time of year. Now, these aspects of holiday stress are ones that I'm sure you're already very familiar with. But when it comes to understanding the causes of these stressful problems, here's where I think we don't have a solid understanding. And here's where I want to introduce you to some new and hopefully more helpful ways of thinking about the underlying causes of these problems.